What is up, Astros fans? Welcome to episode 67 of the Believe in Astros podcast on the Believe Podcasting Network. I'm Jeff Balke alongside my partner, Jeff Blum, out in La La Land, the Astros Angels series. Birthday theme is gone, but I would be remiss if I didn't wish a very happy birthday to another Houston icon. Today, Calvin Murphy, 75 years young. He was one of my sports heroes growing up. I used to carry his basketball card around in my back pocket. And I used to think it was really cool that his birthday and mine were 2 days apart. I still kind of do. If I'm not.
Happy birthday to you too.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. I said years later, I told him the story about carrying the card around, and he just looked at me and said, "Don't start that old shit," and then started laughing. It was so good.
I can't wait till I reach that status.
He's so good. 3 Houston sports icons and me all in 1 week. It's not shabby. Not too shabby. So how are you doing this morning? Blummer, who was your sports hero growing up? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Sports hero? That's a good question. I know that I was a Cal Ripken guy, and it was only because, I watched him play, but at the same time I realized I was going to be one of those 6'3", 6'4" shortstops, and he was one of the guys getting it done. So I always kind of looked up to him and watched how he played, trying to emulate how he was able to play such an athletic position at such a large size. So Cal Ripken, if I had to answer one.
Nice. That's a good one. You can't go wrong with the streak.
No.
I mean, you
Iron
just
Man.
Can't. A streak that won't ever be broken. I can't even possibly imagine. I will say today in Houston,
as soon as they took away greenies, you knew that streak was going to be intact for the rest of its life. Yeah.
Absolutely. Today is nasty in Houston. It's dark like night here, pouring down rain. Be thankful you're in SoCal.
It's 72 and sunny.
Lovely. Hoping the power doesn't go out on me while we're doing this.
That would suck.
You can find. I know it would be par for the course at this point. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, of course on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and keep up with us. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Believe in Astros. You can find me at Jeff Balke, Blummer at Blummer27, all over socials. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get updated when new videos come out like this afternoon. And thanks to everybody for giving us 5 stars on Apple. People continue to do it.
We love them for it.
Oh, love it so much. It's great for us. And so thank you for that. If you haven't, just, get on over there and just like that. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. We do like to read your comments and questions. Here's one for you this morning. Why are the Astros suddenly inundated with outfielders?
Oh my gosh.
I feel like we have no outfielders, and now we have 100 of them at our disposal. So
yeah,
we'll discuss that in a little bit.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's so true too.
So weird. It's so weird. 7 of their top 10 prospects, outfielders. Anyway, it's so I guess
if you're one of the 29 teams out there that desperately needs an outfielder, call us because we could use a pitcher.
I was going to say, you might want to pick up the phone because there's some guys available.
Yep.
All right. Before we get deep into this, let's do a quick injury update. We learned, I guess, yesterday or the day before that Jose Urquidy is going to be out until around the All-Star break, which is just lovely, according to Dana
Dripping
Brown.
in sarcasm.
Exactly. And then McCullers is pitching from the mound, which is something, but he's not going to be back at least for a month or more, which is, again, lovely. And then we've got 2 pitchers in the minors, and Forrest Whitley and Sean Rubin, who are injured.
Oh, boy, you did it. You went there. You went there.
I don't want to be the bearer of rumor, but it seems awfully coincidental.
Conspicuous timing.
It does that, France gets a call up and they don't. And suddenly, oh, my back. Oh, my liver. It's like, whatever it is.
I just hope it's not a blown Spootinator.
What is that?
Are you ready? Yeah. This is just a disclaimer. If your kids are listening, be aware. Your Spootinator.
Volume down.
Yeah. Your Spootinator is the fictional ligament that connects your heart to your man parts. And that was if we saw guys going on the injured list for kind of those weird, you're like, wait, what? Why are you doing this? You can't play on the day Shohei Ohtani's playing. You're like, hey man, your Spootinator okay? Stuff like that.
Dude. Yeah. Well, maybe their sphincter tightened as well. Who knows? I'm
Just odd timing on the whole thing. It was really weird.
Spootinator is a good one. I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep that
Yeah.
around. That's a
Patent that.
solid. Get out there and trademark it the way Pat Riley patented three-peat. That guy's still raking it in.
Yeah,
Genius. Also, Parker Mashinsky has been shut down. Nobody knows when he's going to be back. So suddenly, is it just me, or did the 40-man roster feel weird? Like I was writing about this yesterday. It feels very strange. Like there's a bunch of guys who are either injured or out. There's a real weird imbalance to it in terms of, the types of players we have. I mean, do we even have a second, third baseman? I guess maybe JJ Matijevic can play some third, but it's weird.
No, it is weird. And, you got to go back to draft classes and, as much credit as we give Jeff Luhnow for building, beginning this run the Astros are on, you lose 2 years of first and second round picks. And what was it? 20 and 21, I believe. So now the draft is becoming even more important. So Dana Brown's going to have to he's been working his tail off. I know for a fact, traveling all over the country, scouting some young amateur talent for this upcoming draft in June. But yeah, it seems like over the years, it's just whatever's been taken, from this organization to trade for guys like JV, Zach Greinke, Garrett Cole, you're losing some talent. And I think some of that talent had been some position players other than outfielders. And for whatever reason, the retention on outfielders and the drafting of outfielders, developing of outfielders has just been off the charts for the Houston Astros. I mean, they can say that they have depth for years if they want to, but at the same time, you get an injury in the infield and you're scrambling a little bit because that the next man up is already in the big leagues in a David Hensley or a Mauricio Dubon. But once you get past that, I believe the only other infielder that is on the 40-man, you could correct me if I'm wrong, is Joe Perez. So
I think that's right.
He's a corner guy, maybe could play a little bit of shortstop, but yeah, there's definitely a deficiency at that immediate backups situation in AAA as far as infielders are concerned. But you go down to AA and A-ball, and you've got some promising young Latin talent, and then you've got Will Wagner, Billy Wagner's son, who can play a little bit of third base, second base. And he's a left-handed bat. So he's kind of appealing, but he's not here. He's not ready yet. He's still like a year or two away. Oh
yeah, for sure. And I want to talk a little bit about some of these minor league guys. I've got it in my notes here when we get down the line, but to me, it's just fascinating looking at, especially the pitching, how suddenly thin we are at pitching. When we were hoping it was going to be a strength. I mean, some of this obviously is maybe it's, just the gods of baseball getting back at us for only throwing 7 pitchers for the entire season last year. I saw a stat you guys put up the other day saying how many guys last year threw 140 innings or more? Was it 4 or 5?
I think 4 of the 5. Yeah.
God, unreal.
It
right?
is unreal.
Unreal.
And you know what? You could say the baseball gods are getting back at us for a great season last year, but at the same time, this is a natural progression of a 162 game schedule. Getting 8 guys and getting 4 that are throwing 150 plus innings, that's a Herculean type situation for a season, for a starting rotation. Yeah. So I think we're a little more into the reality of what a major league season is for most other organizations. And this injury spree that is going on right now for starting pitching across the league is it's fascinating and it's scary all at the same time.
I was going to say it's a little terrifying, and it's all hard throwers. It's all hard throwers, right? And so you see guys out there talking about, hey, I need to take it easy. Maybe I got to back off a little bit, maybe I got to think about my alternate pitches, it's very strange. It's very strange. And who knows why? I mean, we all want to say it's the pitch clock, but we don't know. Nobody really knows. There's all kinds of reasons it could be. Interestingly enough, on the flip side, the big league roster is starting to get a little crowded. Chas McCormick returned. Michael Brantley will be back this week. Jose Altuve way ahead of schedule. They're saying they're going to send him on a rehab start maybe next week. So I know. It's generally a good problem. Dubon's going to go back to his utility role probably in the next few weeks. But that leaves a boatload of guys in the outfield. McCormick, Jake Myers, and Dubon are all going to be in center. You've got Jordan, Brantley, and Corey Julks in left. And then poor, lonely Kyle Tucker sitting all by himself in right field. But it's going to be hard to work all of that stuff out to figure out who's going to get, who's going to get. I mean, it's easy with Kyle Tucker and Jordan Alvarez. We know they're going to get plenty of time. But with these other guys, I don't know what you're going to do with all that.
Yeah, you're going to have, the analytic department's going to have to do some creative matchmaking to see who matches up well against some of these starting pitchers or some of these teams and maybe move them in there. And like you said, at the same time, 3 guys in center field. We know Chaz can go over to left field and relieve Jordan. Mm-hmm. He can go to right field and relieve Kyle Tucker, give him some DH days, which I think, could be coming with Michael Brantley coming.
I think so.
Interesting note on Michael Brantley is that he did play a full game, a 9-inning game at first base for the Space Cowboys. That's something kind of intriguing and keeping your eye on. And then Julksy Cat. I love that dude. There's no way he should be off this ball club. And I was talking about this on a broadcast. Dubon's off to a great start. Julks is off to a great start. You're seeing it. Hensley had a good swing last night. But with these guys getting the opportunity and earning a spot in the big leagues, even with these superstars coming back, these guys belong on this team, and I think they're going to be weapons. I think if Dusty really wanted to try and have some of these late-inning pushes, you put a Julks in there. You get a Mauricio Dubon to lead off an 8th or 9th inning, get on there and wreak havoc running around. Or you put Julks in there with 2 outs and guys in scoring position. These guys have been putting together some great at-bats, and it makes the bench that much stronger when you get these guys back. And it'll be really interesting how you manipulate it because you still got to get those guys ABs and keep them fresh. But it's going to be really tough because that lineup's going to get deep in a hurry.
Yeah, and it's a great thing because the Astros offense has been bad.
It has been.
There's no sugarcoating it. I pulled the stats from the last 7 games. God bless Stathead baseball. And they're 2-5 in that span, 3-7 in the last 10. They're only and if you look at their as a team, their slash line is 204, 250, 326 in those 10 games.
Slugging 326. That slug number is terrible.
Unbelievable. And look at this, 76 strikeouts and 17 walks. Oof. There were times probably where that was almost the reverse in some years. So, but if you look, here's the weird part. So who do you think has the best slash line in the last 7 games, Blummer?
Jeremy Pena.
That would be incorrect. It's actually Jordan Alvarez
it's either Jordan Alvarez or Kyle Tucker, but I wanted to give Jeremy some love. He's been swinging it all right.
Here's the weirdest part about this. Yeah, Jeremy's up there. Jordan's hitting 320, right? With a 953 OPS, so he's killing it. Here's the weird part about it, though. The second best guy over the last 7 games has been Martin Maldonado.
How about
that? That's odd to me. But then it's a huge drop because Maldonado's hitting 250 and there are like 4 or 5 guys hitting below 200 over the last 7 games, with the worst of them being, let's see, Alex Bregman, 148 with a 333 slugging over the last 7 games. It's just to see all of these guys hitting that badly right now. Look, Kyle Tucker, as great as he's been all season, the last few games, he's only hitting 208 in the last 7 games, right? But you look at these numbers, a lot of these guys, and never mind Jose Abreu, who we know continues to struggle some, although had a couple doubles the last few nights. I just wonder how long you can have a whole lineup struggle. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, and they struggle against starting pitching too, which means that they're struggling well into the 6th and 7th inning before they erupt on some of these bullpens for comeback wins. But it's only going to get better. I think once you get the Brantleys, you get the Altuves back in that lineup, you're going to have rotating Chaz and Jake. Jake was swinging the bat really well in the last couple of weeks too. I thought he did a fantastic job in the last 20 games and made some great adjustments to his swing. I think your 2 biggest concerns are probably Alex Bregman and Jose Abreu, because you don't want them hovering around that 200, 250 line, and you want them to be able to do damage when they do get those hits. And we just haven't seen that damage out of Jose Abreu, unfortunately. Like you said, the doubles are there, kind of, but not really that drive session where we're expecting him to hit, 2 and 3 run home runs and protect Jordan Alvarez. And then Alex Bregman last night, made a little bit of an adjustment to his hand positioning before he starts that swing and came out with 2 knocks and a couple of really hard hit baseballs that he just missed. So hopefully things are trending in the right direction. But again, once you get the confidence of knowing that lineup is going to be intact and deep, and it's going to put a lot more stress on those starting pitchers. And maybe that's when they start to get to some of these guys that second, third time through the order.
Yeah, well, I didn't notice last night when I was watching the game. Where was Abreu hitting? Was he still 6th?
No, he's 4th.
Or was he? Or Abreu's hitting 4th?
Yeah.
Behind because Alvarez is hitting 3rd, I guess. So
yeah.
he's hitting 4th.
No, it was Dubon, Bregman. You're going to make me look at my scorecard.
I just got to wonder.
Why,
I just got to think about like. Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering.
Abreu's hitting 4th in between Tucker and Alvarez.
Well. I know Dusty loves splitting the lefties with a righty. Shouldn't Pena at some point here get some look in the 4th spot? I mean, I hate to say it.
Well, it's going to take, we know that Dusty respects his players greatly and wants to give them every opportunity to get back to who they are and succeed.
Yeah.
And if you have the normal Jose Abreu hitting 4, that would be a good spot because you'd be able to spray the ball around, drive it out of the park, pick up some big runs. But him not being that home run threat just yet is going to expose itself when Yordan gets pitched around. That's when you start to have to worry about, should I reconstruct my lineup or should I move guys around, because I need Yordan to get pitches. And if that means Kyle Tucker protects him and gets him some pitches, or if it means Jeremy Pena moves into that spot and you get him some pitches, you're going to have to find a way. But I think that's what's going to be interesting is when Brantley comes back, it's going to go, it possibly, in my mind, could go Dubon, Brantley, Bregman, Yordan, Tucker, and then you could do Jeremy, Jose Abreu, and almost, move Jose or Jeremy down to that 6-7 spot and move them around a little bit. And then you've got all kinds of depth, because I'm not convinced that hitting Tucker and Alvarez back to back, it really means anything, because their splits are so heavy on mashing left-handed pitching. And you know what?
100%.
And my idea behind that too is if those guys are hitting back to back and we're facing a team that has that primary lefty coming out of the bullpen, what if I force them into the game in the 6th inning? That means they won't have them in the 8th or 9th inning when I have these guys come back again. Or you have your not so good lefty in there in the 5th or 6th inning facing those guys, and we go to crush and we take a lead. So I think it would really kind of force the opposing manager to make some decisions maybe they're not accustomed to.
I 100% agree with you. I think if your lineup is Bregman, Yordan, Kyle Tucker, you can't pitch around those guys. I mean, even with Bregman not hitting the ball particularly well, he still gets on base because he walks a lot.
Oh, yeah. He forces you to throw pitches. It's tough.
Right. And so you can't just pitch around Yordan, if you've got Kyle Tucker behind you. So I'm with you. I know that there is that love of like splitting the left-handed batters up to give you more, but I just, again, they're hitting great against lefties. Go ahead and let them hit. It's fine. I would just love to see them put that pressure on the pitchers, frankly.
Well, it would be the pressure on the pitcher. And I really do believe that some managers across the league would be like, man, do I have to go to my guy here in the 6th inning because I need to shut this threat down? Or you have them hitting 2nd and 3rd that inning, and you bring in your okay lefty. Breggy takes the walk, and then all of a sudden you go mash, and you're like, holy cow, all of a sudden we're down 2 runs.
Yeah, go ahead and bring in Robbie Reagan. See how that works for you.
Right, yeah. It's similar to that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You're bringing in that. I still think that I'm still not convinced that whole lefty on lefty thing is even really legitimate anymore. Players are figuring that stuff out. They know how to hit against these guys. I'm sure with certain guys it's great. It's the appropriate analytic thing.
We're spoiled, man. I mean, what Tucker and Alvarez do to left-handed pitching just completely throws all the analytics on its head.
It really does.
It's so good.
Interesting to note that Yainer Diaz has been playing. He's now going to catch for 2 Astros as opposed to just 1. Maldonado's been good the last few games, but he still hasn't been great. And then on top of that, you've got Corey Lee, who is just destroying at AAA right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he and Justin Dearden may as well they're just destroying the AAA right now. you got to start wondering how long before the Astros even think about making that switch and saying, listen, we're going to trust our young guys and make that decision. Because look, Yainer Diaz has shown that he's capable behind the plate, and he certainly can hit. So I don't know, Blum. What do we do about that? Because look, everybody loves Maldy and Machete. He's great with the pitchers. He's still an excellent defensive catcher, but the decision time is coming. Whether it's this year, it'll probably be next year because obviously his contract will run out. But I wonder if it's going to happen this year.
Well, the only reason it would happen this year is if you do have Yainer start to swing the bat and he starts playing a little bit better. He could really force the issue if he starts to hit that baseball. We've seen flashes of what Yainer can do because there's power in that bat, and he has some opposite field power for some doubles. If he could put together a more controlled at bat and not chase some of these pitches out of the zone, I think he would get a little more attention because, Maldy's the vet. He can see some pitches. He's going to put some good swings on it. Unfortunately, just doesn't have the batting average to go with it. And I don't think the expectation is that Maldy's going to go out there and hit 250. You'd love for him to hit 210 to 220 because I think that would, offer a little more opportunity to drive in some of these runs in front of him. But one of the knocks against Yainer was, what is he going to be able to do defensively? Now, his catcher's ERA took a beating the other day, late in the game. But at the same time, his catch and throw has, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm astonished at how good he is. But I think it's a credit to how hard he's worked because technically he is so fundamentally sound coming out from behind home plate. And the dude has a cannon. He's throwing the ball down there 86, 87 miles an hour, and that's elite arm velocity.
And accurate.
Dude, it is darts.
Accurate. That's the other thing.
The guys at second base are just letting the ball travel, catching and dropping it on guys. And there is no doubt throwing out guys across the league. He is a beautiful arm back there. So you can almost say, it's very similar to a Martin Maldonado as far as that part defensively. But I think, the game calling and better at bats might force the issue for Yainer. Those are two things I think he needs to work on a little bit.
What do they call that when the time that it takes for them to stand up and throw?
Pop time.
Pop time. I saw you guys talking about that.
He had a 1.81 second pop time.
I saw
That's
you
ludicrous.
guys discussing that.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. Was in Spaceballs ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed. Yeah, he's throwing. He's popping out of there in ludicrous speed. He's gone
going
flat.
Full ludicrous speed. That's exactly right. All right. Speaking of bad endings of games, Rafael Montero has been struggling lately.
Yeah.
Another 2 runs last night. His ERA for the season is
up to 6 in the last 2 outings.
Yeah,
I think.
The last 2 outings, his ERA was like 23 or something. His WHIP is for the season is 1.7. That's just not going to get it done, man. And the Astros, of course, they paid him a bunch of money in the offseason, maybe too much.
Didn't he get a 3-year deal?
3 years.
Mm.
What is happening with him? Is there anything that you're seeing?
Just location.
I noticed last night, so ridiculous, like throwing like a meatball that's not really going that fast, no movement. Is that what's really going on?
It's crazy because, you think he's losing command and all of a sudden you're going, oh, he's walking the world, but it's not necessarily true because you can be wild inside the zone too and leave pitches out over the plate. I'm not sure if his pitches are flattening out. It still looks like he's got good arm side run. He's kind of gotten away from his changeup a little bit, which I think is a very good pitch for him. But there's not much discrepancy in velocity between the fastball and the changeup. It's usually between like 95 and then the changeup is like 91. So there's only about 4 miles an hour. I'm not sure if that's kind of affecting his effectiveness, if that makes any kind of sense. But he's leaving. There's been pitches out over the plate, and he's falling behind in some of these counts. And it seems like every time he walks a guy, that guy comes around to haunt him and score. And that's kind of been the issue.
Yeah, it's just been weird. Like last night, I will tell you, it was about 11, and I had already, I went to bed early last night because I was exhausted from the night before, and I woke up to let my dogs out. Well, I didn't wake up. I got up out of bed at 11 to let my dogs out. I was still mildly awake for the last time. I walk out and I'm like, well, my dog's outside for a minute. Let me flip on the Astros. there's Rafael Montero inning. And then I realized I should never, ever turn the television on after I was like, I'm like, that seemed like a really bad idea. And it clearly was. Hunter Brown also did not look quite himself last night until that one inning where he was dotting corners with 99 miles an hour.
He got pissed, man.
Ooh, he doesn't really have a lot of facial expression. He's not quite Phil Maton level of, calmness, but
yeah,
you could see it. Like he was seething.
Well, he was trying to control his emotions, but I think, once he gave up that home run, so the first home run in his career that he's given up, he gave up to another guy named Hunter, which is just bizarre in the baseball world, but makes total sense. Right. But he wasn't making the pitches that he wanted with his off speed. So he said, screw it. I'm going to come at you with my fastball. But he was dotting 98 to 99 on the outside corner. And I think it was Gio Urshela that just got absolutely abused with a couple of fastballs. But it was interesting, too, because he wasn't getting swing and miss last night. And, that's going to be a little bit of a concern for the Astros just because his stuff is good enough to go out there and get swing and miss. So I'm sure they're going to tinker a little bit and maybe find some hand position, maybe off a little bit, because he only had 3 strikeouts in that game. But oddly enough, they were all looking. So he did a good job of setting guys up. He just didn't get to those 2 strike counts and other at-bats to be able to have the put-away breaking ball or the put-away slider. They put some good swings on him. The Angels can hit a little bit, man.
Oh, they have a good lineup. They definitely have a strong lineup. It's solid. And, they are weird. Baseball is so weird like that. Home run, Hunter hits a home run off of Hunter. Mm-hmm. Last week, the only guy that could hit JP France was Ty France. Apparently,
bizarro.
He had
world,
2 hits
man.
and nobody else had any hits on him. And then, of course, last year Phil Maton broke his hand after his brother, another Maton.
Yeah,
guys need to relax out there. It's getting weird. But I tell you what, Hunter Brown, when he was done, I was like, come on now. That I know that you can't play angry, right? I know that it's not like
you can
the
pitch
whole
angry.
time.
Jeez,
wow. If that's how he pitches angry, I say somebody go out there and stomp on his toe beforehand or something.
Yeah,
tell him,
exactly.
Call him ugly. Tell him,
put some icy hot in his jock and go get him, kid.
Make a your mama joke. Anything. Get him pissed because my goodness. And the Angels, like you just said, their lineup is pretty stacked. Tonight they get tonight they get Shohei Ohtani against Fromber. What are the Astros going to have to do here in the next couple of games to kind of try and turn this around? Particularly because right now they're playing in division. You can't have a bunch of in division losses.
No, the in division losses, they're crushing because it separates you, especially when you're playing the Angels, who are in second place in the American League West. A couple of games behind the Texas Rangers, and you're starting to create separation inside your division, and that's what hurts because it's not just a half game loss; it's a full game loss that you fall down. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to see the Seattle Mariners struggling, the Astros are struggling, 2 of the elite that everybody anticipated running away with the American League West. So credit the Angels and Rangers for taking advantage of these situations, but for the Astros, you've just got to be able to, tread water. I don't like the fact that they're sub 500 right now. They're now 17 and 18 as we speak. And they worked hard to get back to that 500 level, and then they got past it. And I was kind of like, okay, you can survive this and get all your boys back and then go on a run and really start to separate yourself. But if you're trying to separate yourself from a sub 500 position, I think that makes it really tough. Facing Shohei Ohtani, you just got to find a pitch up out over the plate. He's given up, I think, 9 earned runs in the last couple of outings that he's had. But that line he has against St. Louis in that last outing, giving up 4 earned runs, he struck out 13. So you've got to be able to have the humility to know that you're going to strike out, but when you get your opportunities, don't miss them. So it'll be interesting to see how this lineup is constructed. I would imagine Jake Myers might get back in there and have to face Shohei Ohtani. Who else? Jolks might be out there in left field to put together some at-bats against Shohei Ohtani. But, it's going to be a dogfight today. Fromber's just got to go out there and throw ground balls and get defense behind him to hopefully suppress this offense. But I think keeping the ball down will be good against this Angels lineup.
I totally agree. You mentioned it. We talked about this earlier before the season started, how the Astros might lag behind for a while. They might struggle a bit out of the gate. We told people not to be too surprised Do they ever listen to us, Blum? No, they don't.
They should,
because
and they should rate
they're
us
stubborn.
too. 5 stars.
They should absolutely 5 stars. 5 stars for that prediction alone. And it's early. It's not super early, but it's early-ish. So that's one thing. But look, around the league, we're not alone in this.
No.
When you look at it, I put a few of these together. A lot of teams with high expectations not doing so well. The Yankees in last place, sad face. At 19. Look at them, 19 and 17. That division is brutal with the Rays.
Yeah, the American League East is tough,
and the
man.
Orioles, where the hell did they come from? You look, the Guardians are 16 and 19, the Mariners 17 and 18, the Phillies 16 and 19, the Mets 17 and 18, Padres 18 and 17. A lot of teams hovering around 500, and then the Cardinals, Lord, 12 and 24. They just moved Wilson Contreras out of the catcher spot to DH.
And they're basically that's a tough sign right there. 5 years?
Unbelievable. And they're like saying the quiet part loud.
Man.
They're kind of out there like the GM is like, well, you got to produce. And I'm like, wow. You don't usually, and they outwardly talking about how you tried to sign Sean Murphy, and hindsight is 2020. I'm like, whoa. I mean, things are not happy in St. Louis right now. That's for sure. So, do we have any idea? I mean, is this just an anomaly that we're just having a weird season because we've got injuries, we've got all these teams that are not doing well. It's cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like. But when does the anomaly become not an anomaly? Because like you said, we're almost to mid-May, and that's where you start to get to that, that 100 to 150 at bat plateau. You've got maybe 8 or 9 starts in for a starter. You're starting to, is this who these guys are? That's the question I think you kind of get to. But in the Astros case, some injuries. The Yankees have some injuries.
Yeah.
And you have some new people in new clubhouses. Sometimes that takes a little while to unfold and correct itself. So I don't know if that's what's going on. But I mean, right now I want to say it's an anomaly because those are some very good teams that are struggling. And maybe baseball is just all of a sudden everybody's gotten very good at the same time. I'm not sure.
Look, the Pirates. Look at the Pirates. I mean, they have come back. They've come back down to earth a little. They lost 7 in a row, but still, my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're getting some teams that are excelling early, and I'm not sure what that is. If it's motivation, if it's coaching, if it's timing or schedule, who you're playing. But this is going to be this is what's interesting too, is that this balanced schedule where the Astros aren't going to be able to play the A's 19 times. They're not going to be able to play the Texas Rangers 19 times, teams that they've historically had very good numbers against to battle back into the division and really create the separation. So maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at least we can count on the Royals to suck.
Damn.
Because they continue to be bad. And look, the Dodgers are good. And I don't even want to talk about them because I don't even like it. It's gross.
Yeah, but they're just kind of treading water too. I mean, aren't they? They haven't really done anything overly exciting.
No, but they're leading their division again, which is it just kind of makes me ill to think about it. I will say before we go, Astros promoted 3 of their top prospects this week, which was interesting.
Yeah.
All of them outfielders.
Shocking.
Outfielder Jacob Melton and Ryan Clifford went up to High A Asheville. Both of them were just destroying at Low A Fayetteville. Is that right? No.
Yeah, Fayetteville, Asheville's a high A team.
That's right. And then, of course, though, Drew Gilbert up to Double A already. I mean, missed most of last season with that shoulder injury, literally trying to run through a wall to catch a ball.
Yeah.
And he has just been destroying at High A. Look, if he's clearly,
I think that
on
one's
the fast
interesting.
track.
That move is interesting.
It really is, because we're barely into the season. And that means that if he plays really well at Double A, he could get a crack at Triple A by the end of the year, which then you got to wonder. Right. Then you got to wonder.
Think about July. I mean, if there's movement and there's some trades going on, who knows? And
then you got to wonder, does that mean he's fighting for a 40-man roster spot in spring training? I mean, the kid is wild, dude. I watched the highlights from him. He is fun. He
Yeah.
is super fun.
He's another level of excitement. Yeah, he's interesting. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see how he progresses.
Yeah, he's a character.
There's a little edge to him.
Yeah, he's got a little edge, a little bit of a bat flipper. He's got a little bit of that, a little of that swagger. Kind of like, who's the guy that just got called up from, was it the Angels or the Padres? Somebody that called up that kid that was like, I'm coming and I'm going to be great or whatever.
I
Just
didn't see
recently, I'm
that.
like,
Jeez.
I was like, wow, dude, relax, kid.
Yeah,
It's
this
like
is a tough
he's
level, man.
Yeah, I know. It's a humbling. Baseball is humbling, right? I mean, which is more, Blummer, let me ask you this. Which is more humbling to you, baseball or golf? Because you play them both.
Oh,
You
dude.
love them both. Which do you think humbles you more?
Well, oh, man, dude, I want to say baseball, but I know that just staring at that stupid white ball on the ground not moving and I can't square it up pisses me off. So, and I can, you're going to go out there and stripe it, but I feel like the misses are worse in golf. Like you can stripe it for a couple of holes and then all of a sudden it's like the Shankopotamus shows up, you thin one and you're like, what the heck just happened? So both are very humbling, but I think, baseball's just tough because the second you think you've got it figured out, you're going to face a guy like Shohei Ohtani and all of a sudden you're going, okay, I need to keep working hard because competing at this level consistently is what's hard. Both very humbling though. Both have humbled me greatly over the years.
Well, that keeps you in line, right? Well,
it keeps you trying. Yeah, it keeps you working.
Well, that's it. Gives you effort. I will say that, with golf, you're competing. It's all competing against yourself. You don't have anybody out there throwing a ball at you. So I would imagine it could be pretty frustrating, because you've got nobody to blame. At least in baseball, you're like, man, that guy was just really good.
Yeah, that guy owned me that today. Yeah, instead of saying, oh, yeah, I killed myself today.
Instead of being out there going, you're going to die, clown.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, man, have you ever, let me ask you this and then we're going to go, but do you play putt-putt have you ever played it? And like,
no, I mean, I did with the girls when my daughters were young, but I don't know if you've been out. There's a Pop Stroke out in Katy, and it's like legitimate like golf holes. It's just a shrunken down golf course that you putt on, and it's gorgeous. It's so much fun, and it's kind of the mini putt with legit golf kind of mixed together. It's awesome.
Nice. That sounds fun to do that. That's super cool. I played a lot of mini golf in my very, very young, youthful days and enjoyed it quite a lot. It's super fun. Although I never beat up a clown over it. I'll leave that for Happy
There's
Gilmore.
A lot of clowns I want to beat up, but that's, not on the golf course.
That's not one of them. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Blummer, any thoughts? I mean, you're in the middle of a long road trip.
Yes.
How ready are you to get back home?
Yeah. I don't know when we're recording again, but when's our next recording?
Next week.
Okay. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
It's coming up.
Yes.
So this weekend we'll be in Chicago. My wife is actually going to fly up, which I am grateful for. So I'll spoil her with some good dinners and some good times in Chi-Town. But to all the moms out there, trucking us all over the place and taking us to practices, making sure we get well fed. You are the best. We are nothing without our moms. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Yes, 100%. My mom is absolutely fantastic. She was the loudest one at all of my basketball games when I was a kid, like without question, like, and it's not even an exaggeration. I mean, any of the parents back then will tell you that she was extremely loud. She's a huge sports fan. She's a fantastic woman. So yes, there'll be a lot of good Mother's Day celebrations this weekend. Good call on that one, Blummer. Nice. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week when we come back with another fresh pod brought to you by Bet Online. Again, huge thanks to everybody who's listening, especially all the moms.
Yes.
To all of
we
you,
love you
moms out there. Absolutely. You guys are always great. Liking and subscribing. Keep it up. Subscribe to that YouTube channel, man, and hit us up with some more 5 stars. We really appreciate it. Send us your questions. Keep your comments coming. We love it. You guys have a great week and obviously a lovely and happy Mother's Day. And as always, go Astros.